Hello. Ted, we made it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am, as everybody knows that's, followed us at all, I'm Manila Chan, and I'm a tech tard. And that's Ted Rall.
They're going to revoke your Asian card for that.
I've said this for years. Like, this is just not, it's not my thing. It's just, I need to do something 1,000 times with tech before it gets drilled into my brain. I can't do it once or twice. It'll go out the window. And I'm still fighting this cold, so my voice is not that. I always wished I got that sexy cold voice, Ted, like some women get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
the husky
sultry
voice.
Yeah, I don't get that. I just get like the stuffy, and it just doesn't sound so great. But anyway, as we wait for everybody else to kind of trickle over from my failed Rumble room.
I did do the raid. I did do it. I don't know if
I saw that. I saw that, and then into the room that I failed and locked myself out.
You created 3 extra rooms.
I couldn't get rid of them. It just wouldn't. Anyway, as everyone trickles over, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the TMI Show. After a good couple of days off there for illnesses and people doing other things, and like Columbus Day. Ted, I don't know. We didn't do the show yesterday, mostly because it was we do take federal holidays on this show. I'm just saying.
Well, not to mention we're deeply reverent of Christopher Columbus.
Obviously.
Obviously.
So,
duh.
Obviously. Well, I do appreciate having the whole Western culture thing. But anyway, we try to do this live at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. It usually works that way.
Or sometimes at 10:08.
It happens. I've seen bigger productions, Ted, like Glenn Greenwald have the.
Oh, really? That's good to know.
Oh, yeah. And Glenn Greenwald he has a Rumble contract. Mm-hmm. And he's got like a real studio and everything in Brazil.
No, I've seen he has a big desk and everything.
Yeah, he has like a real studio and everything. And even with
it does look like something. Team. It definitely looks like I expect Douglas Brinkley, the NBC News with Douglas Brinkley, or one of those old school, like, this is John Chancellor from NBC News.
Yeah, it's not, it looks like very 1980s.
I like the retro look. It's very strange, though.
It is, yeah, it's very 80s, and even with like a whole studio crew, because of streaming, and it just doesn't work the way terrestrial television does when you hit buttons to just broadcast, and all the little back end apps that tie into each other in order to make streams get sent to all these different platforms, it just fails sometimes. Mm-hmm. So
yes, it does.
Even with a production like Glenn Greenwald's that has an official Rumble backing with a Rumble contract, can't get on air sometimes at the right time.
No, it's good to know that we're not the only idiots.
No. So it happens every now and again. But anyway, on today's show, obviously, the first topic we cannot not talk about is the Israel-Gaza supposed peace plan. So that's not the hot topic, Ted. The topic is what and who next is what happens there. So, the hostages, and Ted and I totally agree on how dumb this is to call dead people hostages, because you're not, even those are exchanged, sorry. I mean, I respect to the dead, but you're no longer a hostage the moment your heart stops beating.
Yeah, you are a former hostage. This is like the Correct. Dead parrot skit in Monty Python. This is a former parrot, a parrot that has shed its mortal coil, an ex-parrot, and a parrot that is no more.
That's precisely it. So we'll talk about that and what happens next.
Coil.
That's exactly it. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about. We're gonna let Ted grind his axe a little bit more. I know you did that on Deprogram.
Oh yeah.
But I would like to hear it also.
The people of Los Angeles are seriously politically sophisticated, and live in a great city, and they deserve a good mayor. They don't really have one now, but if they vote for Austin Beutner, they're going to fucking wish they still had Karen Bass.
I know. And this obviously affects the vast majority of my family and my friends because they all still live in Los Angeles. So, I think they only recently started caring about local politics. Like it was,
if you don't care about local politics cares about you.
I know. They really, for some reason, people really didn't care about the mayoral race in Los Angeles, even though we're the second biggest city in the whole country. People back home, because we're just like laid back Angelinos, people have other things to do. They're more interested in whatever, like Kim Kardashian's butt or something. But it's true. As one is. But then, for whatever reason, when Antonio Villaraigosa was mayor, that's when people started caring about local races and it became more important. So, in the past 10 or 15 years, people have finally started paying attention to the mayor. And now, after these giant multiple fires in the new year and having dingbat Karen Bass show how big of an idiot you can still be and run the country's second biggest city.
I thought it was the fourth largest city. I think Houston is number 2.
It's grown now. Houston
is like
to
grown
second?
like a pig, I think it's Houston and then Chicago and then LA.
No, growing up my whole life, it was always New York City, Los Angeles.
Yes, it was.
And then maybe Chicago was
Houston,
third or something.
Yeah. Remember, it was called Second City, right? I think it was because
we were second city
in the country.
There's a theater troupe there called Second City. So that's how I was always what I was always taught. But anyway, said it before, I was like, she is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Very nice lady. But, an executive of anything, probably not the right fit for her. But now she's running against this guy that Ted says is a total scumbag. Then we'll also talk about this dilemma of AI in the use of AI, I should say, in universities and higher education. But not only that, like, it's one thing to accuse students of using AI to cheat.
Yep.
But it's another when the administrators are using AI to try to catch AI, and then it goes in this weird loop. And I've got some stuff to say about that, Ted, because
I knew
obviously
you would. That's why when I saw that, I was like, that right there is a Manila special.
Look, AI is trained on our writing and you and me, Ted. We are counted in this because we've been media people for decades, right? Between the two of us, we probably have like 40 plus years of media between the two of us.
True.
So I can almost guarantee that all the major AI platforms have probably been introduced to our work in some form or fashion.
Sure.
So, it's been trained with our material.
In fact, right? I'm currently a plaintiff in a lawsuit against an AI company because they lifted at least 3 of my books, maybe 6.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, so if they're trained on our material, I ran my own personal test on this, Ted. I wrote something and I applied it to, I think it was GPT, or I can't remember, it might have been Grok or something, to ask it if this had been written by AI. And it said, I lifted it, or AI wrote it for me. And I went, no, you fucker. You were taught on my work.
So it falsely accused you.
Correct.
So basically, it just did what
the original writer,
used sophisticated technology to falsely accuse something that the LA Times was able to do without sophisticated technology.
That's correct. So yes, this is a problem for college kids, or not just college, but young people in higher education. And it's this weird cyclical, like, it just sucks. It just really, really sucks. This is why Ted and I have been saying, like, AI is not America ready. It's not primetime ready.
It really isn't. There. No.
It's not there. Last but not least, if you're wondering about the thumbnail, it's an AI created picture of a generic white dude.
Oh, the irony.
A generic white dude running for sheriff, right? With a shotgun. And why that picture? Because apparently there's a guy down in Arkansas who is right now awaiting trial on second-degree murder charges.
This really makes me giggle.
And that's why you're reading that one. He's running for sheriff. Because of his own personal experiences and run-ins with the law. But he's accused of second-degree murder for allegedly killing a pedophile.
Well, I bet Robbie would have some thoughts on this.
Rob, I know if he was here, he would say good. I'm sure. I mean, I could summarize it.
Yeah, 100%.
I could summarize it. Just Robbie would say good. I don't know, Ted. I think this is an interesting conversation about. This guy actually stands a chance of winning, which is crazy because but he's in a small town in Arkansas, very red. Arkansas is
accused of killing a pedophile.
Very red.
Right. Like people are like, so?
Right. People are like, so
and
what?
And the problem is what? I don't understand.
Correct. Especially because, we're on the heels of this MAGA divide between like those who are true MAGA and they call themselves true MAGA and they're, like release the Epstein files. So they're on that angle, right? Those people are the ones that be like, good for this guy, elect him, the next president, right?
Yeah.
Much less just sheriff, make him president. So
absolutely,
we'll have a conversation. It's just a weird story because if he wins, can he still win and lose the trial? Right?
Well, that's a good question too. Like, yeah, could he?
For that, I don't.
Well, I think he'd still be able. He can still go on trial, right? I mean,
yeah, but can you be sheriff from behind bars?
Well, that's always a question, right? Remember, we had that question about Donald Trump. Could he have been president from behind bars? And there was even some movement towards the Secret Service was kind of preparing for the possibility that he might be sworn in from prison. Which I, for one, am sad that we didn't get to see that because,
I know
nothing says debased former empire like that.
POTUS from prison. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. So, all right, without further ado, because we're late already as it is, let's get to this one. I'll just power through the Israel thing. I don't have a lot to say. I mean, I have some comments, but I know Ted's very passionate about it, obviously. So let's get to it. All right, so in this first story, I'll just read through very quickly. If you missed the news yesterday, President Trump is now back from this whirlwind trip that he called, a triumphant day in the Middle East, having declared an end to the 2-year war in Gaza and secured the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. The U.S. leader is charting the next steps of a historic deal for Gaza and the Middle East. But there remains uncertainty over the application of key parts of his 20-point proposal released 2 weeks ago by the White House and now being put into action. The points concern the disarmament of Hamas, the deployment of an so-called international stabilization force, and the establishment of a, quote, technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee to temporarily govern Gaza under the chairmanship of Donald Trump himself. These issues were central to discussions in Sharm el-Sheikh overseen on Monday by Trump and Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. and attended by more than 30 leaders and representatives from around the region and beyond. Among them was Palestinian National Authority leader, the PA president, Mahmoud Abbas. So apparently he's still alive, Ted. We thought they were weekend at burning Mahmoud Abbas, but because, they beamed him into the UN.
He's going strong.
Yeah. So, all right. He was physically there, walking and everything, whose West Bank government is hoped by Arab powers to ultimately reassume control of Gaza after nearly 2 decades under Hamas rule. Yet, as Palestinians celebrate the cessation of hostilities and the release of their own prisoners by Israel as part of the U.S. deal, optimism is curbed by uncertainty over what comes next. Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib, a senior fellow at, we can trust these guys, the Atlantic Council think tank, and an activist hailing from Gaza, argued U.S. engagement, including continued pressure exerted by Trump on all sides, would be necessary to allow the landmark ceasefire to graduate into a broader peace process that they could truly pave a new path for Palestinians. What that would take, he said, is, quote, U.S. involvement, including U.S. pressure on the Israeli government to roll back some of the aggressive occupation-oriented policies in the West Bank, and then Hamas to really slow down the violent rhetoric that's coming towards the clans, towards the Gazan people, and their feeling that just got legitimized by the United States because Trump said, we're giving them time and space to do what they want, end quote. Since the initial eruption of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in 1948, so we're not talking about October 7th, we're talking about 1948,
Correct.
The establishment, Ted, of Israel. Gaza has changed hands several times, having fallen under Egyptian control at the end of the first Arab-Israeli war that year, followed by Israeli occupation beginning after the second war, fought in 1967, then being handed over to the PA after the Israeli military disengagement in 2005. By this time, however, Hamas had already begun to eclipse secular rivals in popularity, and Palestinian elections held in 2006, that was the last time we saw an election, led to a victory for the Islamist militant group, sparking clashes with the PA, leading Fatah factions and Hamas' eventual takeover of the territory the next year. So in 2007, Hamas has governed Gaza, and it's roughly 2 million people ever since then, so almost 20 years, and also used it as a launch pad for attacks in its long-term war to destroy Israel. And while the group has been by far the largest and most powerful organization there, other factions have retained varying degrees of influence, including Palestinian Islamic Jihad, because, Ted, that term real popular in your name to the West.
Oh, yeah.
You should definitely put that in your name. Another group, the Popular Resistance Committees. Another group, the Palestinian Mujahideen Movement, also a popular term to Americans, and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and then other various smaller splinter groups. Beyond these ideologically motivated movements that have also largely aligned with Hamas throughout the war, there also exists a variety of clan-based militias that have clashed with Hamas and Hamas's allies, including the Popular Forces, headed by Yasser Abu Shabab, and here's this name, the Dog Mush clan.
Hey,
the
dog. Don't be dissing the Dog Mush clan. I mean, I have 3 of their albums, and they're great.
Yeah, that's Dog Mush. Dog Mush.
By the way, I don't know. Do we want to like abridge the rest of this story because it's a long one?
So long story short, ISIS. So there's like ISIS. Some of these groups are affiliated with ISIS by way of Egypt, because Ted, I thought we gave them $4 or $6 billion a year, Egypt, to help keep the peace, but then they give some of that money to these groups that are tied to ISIS, that are then tied back down to Gaza. Whole complicated thing there,
it's
Ted.
All complicated, yep.
It's almost like the U.S. inadvertently funds militant Islam. Almost.
I don't know if the word inadvertent is really applicable here, but
yeah, I'll paraphrase the rest. So we have the PLO. You guys might remember that from the Arafat days. That's just forget that. So rounding all of this up, Ted, Analysts emphasize that any sustainable peace or political solution has to include all of these major Palestinian factions, including Hamas, because this doesn't mean they're going anywhere. They haven't even promised to lay down arms, Ted. Trump keeps saying that was part of the agreement, but Hamas was like, we didn't actually agree to lay down arms. So, in some way or another, it's either directly or indirectly the national unity. Like, I don't know if they're going to get a national unity framework, even though the analysts say that's the only way to a lasting peace. I just rattled off the names of like a dozen random small groups outside of Hamas. Some of them back Hamas, some of them hate Hamas. What you and I have always known, Ted, with your travels and journalism, through Central Asia and the Middle East, and me having been based in the Middle East, what we know is the Arabs, as they were, Ted, are not one monolith.
No.
And this is how the West presents them, as if it's either the PA or Hamas. That's just not the case. Are they ever going to be able to find a unity framework when we're talking about these groups, as you know, Ted, from Afghanistan, why Afghanistan is the empire killer? You will never get all of these multiple, like dozens of clans and warlord gangs. They're basically gangs. You're never going to get them to be one unified front. So you can call Afghanistan, for example, one big country, sure, but they're really a bunch of like dozens and dozens and dozens of little fiefdoms of like little warlord clans. And this, to a micro size, I think is applicable to Gaza. Ted, what do you think? I've not been there, so I don't know.
No, I think that's fair to say. It's totally yeah. I mean, look, it's very complicated. But that said, okay, what the important thing to understand is Americans want to know who's going to run Gaza after this is all over, assuming that Trump's plan doesn't just all fall apart and the ceasefire doesn't just get broken, used probably most likely by Israel. And the answer to that question is that Hamas is going to rebrand. There's no one else. I mean, Hamas has been in charge for almost 20 years. And during that time, no one was able to emerge as a credible, powerful, broad-based popular movement to supplant them. So there's been no real political opposition there. Gaza wasn't a democracy. It hasn't been a democracy. And so, Hamas has been running the show, and they will continue to run the show for the foreseeable future. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to say, okay, well, our fighters will train to become police officers. They'll change uniforms. Hamas will probably change to some other name, like Provisional Government of Gaza, Provisional Palestinian Republic, or something like that. They'll change, they'll rebrand, but it's going to be the same people. Maybe at the very top of the echelon, like the top leaders who are based in Qatar, they may step aside and be replaced by other figures. But when you talk about the grassroots, day-to-day Hamas dudes, those guys are keeping their jobs. They're still, because there's no one else to run Gaza. No one else knows how the sewage water treatment plant works. No one else, that's kind of like what happens. Like after Iraq, they wanted to do de-Baathification. Well, everyone was a member of the Ba'ath Party under Saddam Hussein. So they literally fired everyone. And so there was no law and order, no running water, nothing, right? Like no schools, because all the teachers were members of the Ba'ath Party.
Exactly what they did to Libya.
Literally,
it showed currently.
The ignorance of the Bush administration was, they were like, well, they did denazification in Germany. Yes, they did. That didn't mean that everyone who was a member of the Nazi Party was fired. What it meant was that everyone who's a member of the Nazi Party had to take a test and promise to be for democracy and promise that they were no longer a Nazi.
We brought them here. Let's be honest. We brought them to DC,
or Argentina. But the point is that, but there were like a lot of. But my point is, denazification was about getting rid of an ideology. De-Baathification was about like firing millions and millions of people. That's they can't. I think the West has to have learned from that mistake. They're not going to do that again. It can't happen. It doesn't work. It can't work. It won't work. So, I mean, there's a lot in this piece that you just read that I think is super interesting, though. I mean, like, the U.S. involvement. Yes, I mean, Trump is going to have to keep pressuring the Israelis. He's going to have to make very clear that they can't break this ceasefire. Netanyahu's going to prison, however, as soon as the state of emergency under Israeli law is lifted, which it will be under Israeli law, under the Israeli Supreme Court. At that point, he becomes vulnerable to all those corruption charges that he's facing, and he's off to prison.
His wife.
And so he's scared, right? So he's looking for an opportunity to start this war up again when Trump's paying attention to something else. So that's really what's needed here. Also, the big sticky wicky here, Manila, is the West Bank. I mean, look, the West Bank is literally 60% occupied by Israel right now. And there are 700,000 illegal settlers there from Israel. Now, there's two options. You can either evict them, or you can let them keep it. You can let them keep their stolen land. If you let them keep their stolen land, a viable Palestinian state, at least in the West Bank, is gone. If you evict them, it's going to be ugly as shit. And how the fuck do you evict 700,000 people? So, I mean, Israel's a small country. So, I mean, my idea on this is they should probably be bribed to go home. Like, hey, here's $100,000 per family member for all of your family. Go back to Israel. You're not allowed to be in the West Bank anymore. And those who remain, who don't take the bribe, they get forcibly evicted. I think that's probably the only way.
Look, Mahmoud Abbas, congratulations to him for still being alive and 170 years old. Great. However, he has zero credibility with any of the Palestinians, whether it's in the West Bank, at home.
That's true.
Or in Gaza. He's got to go. He's got to go. He is a feckless lapdog to the United States and to Israel. He has zero. I don't know one Palestinian stateside or anywhere that trusts a word that the PA led by him has to say. I don't think the PA can continue to exist as a viable political party. I think the younger generation, from millennials down to the Zers, the Zoomers, they ain't having it. Not only Mahmoud Abbas, but they ain't having the PA in general. Something else has to be. Something else has to be born.
And we should explain why. And what it boils down to is the PA is not only ineffectual, they're the lapdogs of the Israelis. I mean, they cooperate with the Israelis on security, which means that, for example, the Israelis will say, we want to arrest this guy who's giving us trouble. Tell us where he is and help us arrest him. And the PA does, right? So,
well, Ted,
of course,
as you said yourself, almost a million.
They're Vichy, right?
Yes. So almost a million Israeli settlers have shown up there. And the PA, who has a fairly functioning, if you want to look at it in terms of a governing body and what it does, like day to day, runs schools, it runs the water system, or it has police or whatever. They have that in the West Bank, right? But there's no way you get almost a million settlers in there without the cooperation of the PA, the people that are running that territory. So, something else has to be born from that. But really, I think they're going to go in the way of the Whig Party in the United States. They're just goodbye. I don't know what's going to come of it. I don't know who the young leaders are in the West Bank, but I know a lot of Palestinian Americans here have a lot of gripes with the PA, and I don't think they can actually be a party to the future of the planning or reunification of the West Bank and Gaza. I just don't think the PA.
And now you bring up the reunification, right? I mean, how do you have how do you have a viable state if it's
incontiguous?
It's non-contiguous, right? I mean, like, okay, obviously we have Alaska, we have Guam, we have Hawaii. Those are Puerto Rico. Those are basically. But it's like, imagine if the entire country was just Alaska and Hawaii. I mean, that's kind of like
I guess
Gaza and the West Bank are.
The Dutch continue to have Greenland.
Well, that's kind true. But Greenland is a colony of you mean the Danes? The Danes have Greenland.
Oh yeah, the Danes. Dutch. Sorry, right?
And like, but I mean but like still, it's a colony. That's different. I mean, the population of Greenland, I think, is under 60,000. 99% of the population of the Danish kingdom live in Denmark. This is like, I mean, Gaza and the West Bank are kind of even Steven. I mean, more Palestinians live in the West Bank than live in Gaza, but still, I mean, by the way, one really terrifying thing is a couple of months ago, Trump gave a speech, blink and you miss it, where he was being very specific. It wasn't one of his rambling speeches. He was reading it, and he was talking about the relocation of the population of Gaza. He said the current population of 1.7 to 1.8 million. Now, yeah, the thing is, before 2023, Gaza had 2.3 million people. So what he's saying is effectively that 500,000 to 600,000 people no longer exist. Now, I believe that. I do believe that.
Oh, for sure.
I think
some of them,
half a million people are buried under the rubble, for sure.
A sprinkling of them, a smattering of them managed to get into Egypt. A small.
You think?
A small.
By what? Swimming?
In the early. I don't know. I think a small smattering.
That's true. Yeah, but that's you're literally talking about 100 or 200. Yeah.
Yeah, a small sprinkling of them got there. A small sprinkling of them, managed to have been, airlifted out as refugees somewhere out, like small. So we're talking.
That's true, right?
Hundreds
Remember,
of
early on there were the
people
who,
2 years.
A few people were released due to medical issues and stuff like that.
So really, we're talking about a few hundred people, hundreds of people.
That's not even worth talking about. Yeah.
So So outside of that, I believe hundreds of thousands are unaccounted for. But I know from friends in the UAE that the UAE is really seeking an opportunity here, Ted, to rebuild.
Well, that's reasonable.
I mean, they're really good at development. I lived there. I know they are good at putting up big shiny buildings along water, Ted.
Which is great, I suppose.
From what I'm hearing, the Emiratis are very keen on working with Donald Trump, since he's the new chairman of the Gaza board.
Of the Board of Peace.
I'm sorry. The Gaza Board of Peace. They're interested in working with the chairman. They're interested in working with the chairman. They're developers. I mean, that's really what Dubai is. It's a giant country of developers. Like, that's all it is. It's not even giant, but Dubai is like an emirate is like a state, right? So it's like this small state where their major
it's like Luxembourg.
Power. Yes, it's tiny, but it seems like what they do is develop. They build buildings. So it's a bunch of developers living in this one place called Dubai. And they want to work with Donald Trump, who is at his core a developer, and they want to develop Gaza, is my understanding. That's the main talk. They want to develop Gaza. As Jared Kushner so aptly pointed out when he was trying to broker the Abraham Accords, during Trump 1.0, he had thrown this idea out there a long time ago to his father-in-law, 6, 7, 8 years ago, saying like, hey, we're brokering this Abraham thing. Maybe Gaza's next. We can build, the whole Riviera idea was a Jared Kushner idea. and getting the Emiratis involved was a whole Jared Kushner thing. So I think as much as Jared and Ivanka have stayed out of Dad's new administration, I think here they're going to be key players. Well, I don't know about they, but
by the way, who the hell is going to want to invest in the development of Gaza when you know if you build a hotel there, it's going to be blown up, you know, because people don't want it there. You know what I mean?
Well, not only that, but then you are tacitly, whatever developer it is, like name any kind of, like, I don't know, like Landmark or whoever, name any developer, American, European, Emirati, whatever. If you start developing in Gaza, you are tacitly not only supporting, but taking an active role in removal,
land theft,
land theft,
cleansing, genocide,
ethnic cleansing, removal of the people who that land belongs to.
And by the way, that is genocide. Doesn't necessarily involve killing anyone. You don't have to kill anyone for it to be considered genocide. If you just simply remove people from their homeland and steal their land, that's genocide by it. Even if not one hair on their chinny chin gets hurt.
There are many ways to skin a cat, and you can, as long as you remove the population, that's the point. So any company that's, developing on those lands, Ted.
Yeah, and who's going to want to be seen? Who wants to be seen as doing that? No one.
Trump Inc. doesn't care. He just wants to build stuff. So
yeah, but he's not going to want it blown up.
Yeah, but then I think he thinks he can supply the security forces to protect it. I don't know. I think in his mind that's what he thinks. So I don't know. We'll see. I just don't think they're even going to get that far, because you are not going to be able to reunify the two chunks of Palestine. You're not going to be able to find any consensus among the dozens and dozens and dozens of clans and militias. Because again, the Arabs ain't a monolith. The Palestinians are not a monolith. They're in small factions. Hamas is the biggest one, but that's not saying much when you're talking about a population of 2 million. Original population. I don't know what the number is now, but that's not saying much by saying Hamas is the big group.
Million, according to
right. So if they're the biggest and the baddest in Gaza, that's not saying much that Hamas is the biggest group. That's not saying much.
They need to, so you're saying they're like bad Leroy Brown?
They're
the baddest man in the whole damn town?
Technically a small, I'll tell you this much. The Mexican mafia is bigger than Hamas.
Oh.
Numbers, head count wise.
I would think so, yeah.
The Mexican mafia is by leaps and bounds bigger and more powerful than Hamas.
Well, yeah.
But they keep saying Hamas is the main player. It's just
Mexico is many hundreds of times bigger than Gaza too.
Sure, but you can name several carts, Sinaloa or whatever. There's more people in Sinaloa than in Hamas. So, I'm just saying, to say that Hamas is like the big boy, the big gang in...
Well, they are there in Gaza.
Relative, right. So, and same thing for the PA. It's just the numbers aren't really there. Something brand new, you're not going to find unification or reunification or, kinship among the clans and the militias. We're talking about thousands of years of Bedouin culture.
Hamas does view itself, I think with some justification, as having won this war and being now in charge of, of what's going on. They've been legitimized, and now they're also they're solidifying their relationship with they're getting rid of their rivals, and they're killing like the clans that have been giving them a hard time. Yeah, those are the people who stole all that food, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're after that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's leave that there. Let's go on to your your axe, Ted. Shine up that baby.
All right, let's do it. Austin Beutner, an LA billionaire who gutted the city's public school system during the coronavirus, announced that he's joining the 2026 race for mayor, posing a challenge to the re-election of Mayor Karen Bass. In Beutner, Bass will face a former supporter. It's so unlike Beutner to turn against someone he was once friends with, whose appeal in LA, an overwhelmingly Democratic city, could reach beyond that of her opponent in 2022, Rick Caruso, a billionaire developer and former Republican. I voted for Bass last time. We all had hopes. Beutner, a longtime donor and a supporter of liberal candidates and causes, well, asterisk, said in an interview last week. She did good work in the legislature, good work in Congress, but the job of a mayor is a different job, and LA is adrift. Ultimately, that's a function of leadership. The question is Austin Beutner the kind of person who exhibits strong leadership? His past doesn't seem to indicate that. He could also face an uphill battle in LA, even with Ms. Bass's political challenges. Beutner's known in philanthropic and business circles and is familiar to hundreds of thousands of LA parents from when he was at the superintendent. But compared with the mayor, who was on Biden's vice presidential shortlist, he is a virtual unknown, a vulture capitalist who earned his money in amid corrupt oligarchs in the ashes of the former Soviet Union. Beutner served in Bill Clinton's administration before partnering with Clinton's deputy Treasury Secretary Roger Altman to form an investment bank called Evercore in the 90s. In 2010, as the city emerged from the Great Recession, he became deputy mayor, but he had to abandon a race for mayor itself after he failed to even get 1% in the polls. In 2013, as the LA Times struggled financially through bankruptcy, he and a coalition of other city leaders tried to purchase it. In 2014, when that bid to buy it from the Tribune publishing company based in Chicago failed, he agreed to become the paper's publisher at the behest of a large shareholder in its parent company, Tribune Publishing. He then partnered with the LAPD union, the Los Angeles Police Protection League, which bought controlling interest in Tribune and then promptly awarded him its Badge and Eagle Award in 2014 against the rules of the LA Times after he agreed to turn the LA Times into a paper that supported the LAPD. He was then unceremoniously fired about a year later after Trib execs accused him of botching my firing. Yep, that's me, Ted Rall, causing thousands of subscribers to cancel, over 10,000 actually, and scheming with Eli Broad, the now dead billionaire and LA power broker, in a boardroom coup to overthrow Tribune. Shortly afterwards, as the LA Unified School District faced a fiscal crisis, Beutner advised the district and then connived to step into the top job for 3 years after sidelining a highly qualified woman of color. 2 years later, as the pandemic raged and austerity cuts enraged teachers and parents, he then ran away, leaving the district to fall apart. For the last year, he and his family have lived in a succession of rental houses as construction crews have worked to remediate fire damage to their mansion in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood. Aww. I don't understand why he doesn't live in one of his many other homes. He is a billionaire. He has several homes. So anyway, yeah, my beef with Austin is, of course, the fact that, like, when I was the cartoonist at the LA Times, he secretly met with the police chief at the time, Charlie Beck, who was corrupt and had to resign in disgrace. Yeah. I used to do cartoons about Charlie Beck and his ridiculous mustache and the brutality of the LAPD. And apparently this really pissed off Charlie Beck. So this big pussy went and had a secret meeting with the publisher of the LA Times. Can you imagine? The police chief goes in and meets with the publisher of a major newspaper. They shouldn't even take a meeting with someone like that, right? If I'm the publisher of a newspaper, the police chief wants to meet with me. It's like, no, that would be unethical for me to meet with you. Anyway, private meeting. He gave Beutner faked evidence to smear me with. Beutner did that, fired me, published the fake evidence, which then fell apart later and was because he didn't bother to investigate its provenance or to see if it was legit, and then tried to ruin my career in doing so. So Beutner is this filthy, corrupt little piece of shit weasel who I hope dies in great pain slowly while I watch would be ideal. I think he's honestly the most corrupt politician I've personally ever had cause to really dig into. This is a guy who makes Eric Adams look like honest and pure and noble. And what's he? I think honestly, I don't have to do shit. I think the people of Los Angeles hate him, which is why he never does well when he runs for office. Mm-hmm. But he's dying to be governor. So I think he senses weakness in Karen Bass. She's not popular. She's getting a little more popular now that she's fighting Trump and ICE. But basically, he thinks, oh, I can get in, I can get Bass's job. And what everything for him is a stepping stone, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, the paper is a stepping stone. The schools are a stepping stone. He's never willing to really do the work. It's like billionaires and their toys. So he wants to be mayor for 2 years. Gavin Newsom is going to be term limited out as governor of California in 2028. And that will be the job that Beutner's always wanted. He's always wanted to be governor. This is a guy who, he made his billions by funding violent oligarchs who assassinaines public officials to steal state-owned enterprises in the early 90s and the ashes of the USSR. He's Kaiser Sose. He's a turd. He's a really, really bad man.
Well, see, it never occurred to me, Ted, that I don't know why. I know your story with the whole LA Times lawsuit and everything. It never occurred to me that it was him, that it was Austin Beutner. So when you shared the thing yesterday, I went, oh, I know him. Not because, not personally, but
right.
because
you're like, I know who that fucker is.
Well, no. I've met him on multiple occasions.
What?
But I don't know him. Yes, because, and I've said this before, either it was on my own personal podcast or maybe even on the show, but I know a lot of movers and shakers, men about town in downtown LA.
All right, well, dish.
Several men that are big time developers in downtown. Yeah, I worked in the real estate industry. I have friends. I don't want to name them because they're too high profile. But men around Austin Beutner's age that are credited with basically the rejuvenation of downtown LA. Like all the beautiful lofts and the Staples Center, all the development of LA Live, all of that stuff. So they're only like 3 or 4 big time downtown LA businessmen, and they own a lot of the businesses there. And so one was a very close friend of mine in particular. And once I saw the picture and I went, oh, I know who that is. Because Beutner used to roll up and it seemed that my friend was frenemies with Austin Beutner.
Oh, really?
But my friend basically said, you can't really fuck with him because he's too connected. So, if he's asking for a table at my restaurant, he rolls in without a reservation.
He needs to get that table, otherwise there could be trouble.
He's right, because I was like, dude, who is this guy? Like, why? Because I don't know.
Well,
I don't know all the rich people.
What was he like?
I just met him in passing, just introduced him. Again, it wasn't anything that registered in my brain.
Sure. What was he like? How did he dress? What was his voice like?
Nothing that stood out to me, obviously, until I saw his picture yesterday when you sent it to me, and I went,
he is one of the world's ugliest people. So
he just looked weaselly and
he's really
like a pencil neck dork.
He does. By the way, it really surprised me that he's Jewish because he's so waspy and preppy looking.
Well, I remember thinking, like, why is this pencil neck dork able to roll in anywhere that I am? If I bumped into him a couple of times. Why are all my friends who are also very, very, maybe not billionaires, but that are very wealthy and powerful businessmen in Los Angeles, why are they kind of like being so cordial?
Well,
Yeah.
he
What?
also, I mean, look, there's a
But
strong
now
possibility that he's had
I get
people
it.
killed. You know what I mean? Like he's
But now I
he's
get
a
it.
dangerous man.
I
Who
didn't know that at the time when, downtown LA was going through this renaissance period of like 2010, 2011 when I first moved back from the Middle East. And so yeah, at least 2 times, at least on 2 occasions I've been introduced to him. But nothing ever. I just remember thinking, "Oh, I've met this dork a couple of times. He's a rich, powerful dork here in LA." That's all I knew. But it's the guy that screwed Ted over.
Yes. And he did it for the cops. And I have to think, look, what happened, he's made enemies all over the place because this kind of what he did to me is like obviously just like another day in the life of Austin Beutner, right? I mean, this is like he fucks people over in order to get ahead. And you could say everybody at that level does that, but not everyone does it as gleefully and opportunistically. I mean, this guy is literally arguing in the press that he's going to stand up to Donald Trump. I mean, his entire political base is MAGA, right? It's the LAPD. They all live up in MAGA land, up in the 818, right? In the Valley. That's who those people, that's who finances him, right? That's what he's all about. Manila, you know how like there's the campaign finance laws show if you donate to a candidate or any political cause, right? So if you compare Austin Beutner's donations, he donates to exactly on the same day in the same amount to the same donors as the LAPPL. He matches them dollar for dollar. He is the LAPPL. Right. I don't think Angelino's LAPD is not popular, No. I don't think it's going to look. I don't think he has a chance of winning.
I don't think he has a political future, though. I think there are, like any major city, I think the businessmen, at least the ones that I know that I can think of, will find a way to cuck his campaign, Ted. Let's just say that.
I think he has a lot of enemies, right? I mean,
yeah. They won't say it to his face because, they're businessmen. You have to move and shake with, you want permits, you want things done, right? Like you don't want your businesses in LA to be robbed all the time.
Yeah, you don't want nice business. Be a pity if something happened to it.
Like, it's a beautiful jewelry shop you've got there in the Diamond District downtown. Be a pity if somehow your safes were all blown up and people got access to all the diamonds. That would suck. Because that's how people hate to, people don't want to say it. That's how things are done. At least the grimy side of LA
is gangster. I learned that really firsthand when I did my lawsuit.
And everybody is fucking everybody.
I couldn't believe LA has that reputation, but until I fucking saw it like on a day-to-day basis firsthand, I was like, whoa, people just don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. I have been eyewitness to several compromising engagements between high-profile people where I've had to keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are 2 high-profile people that are married and on multiple occasions with multiple people. But you realize, and again, because I'm a kid from the sticks, right? Like the East LA side where I come from an immigrant family with no power, no whatever. But I'm also, because of that, I'm also not a snitch, right? So these powerful men that I knew back home kind of, let me peek into their world, if you will.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I would think, but you're married to the lady. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, that is not your wife. Mm-hmm.
It's like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, and the lady that's not your wife, she's also the lady on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Little Manila doesn't want to be suddenly mugged or, left in an alley
No, you don't
in
need that.
downtown LA.
No.
So Little Manila just doesn't say anything. Let's just not.
That's always best.
Let's have Manila not be a snitch. Manila's from the hood. Manila doesn't snitch, because we know snitches
we know what happens.
get stitches.
They do.
So, and people don't realize how hood LA actually is behind the Botox and the glitz and the glamour. LA is dirty. Everybody is fucking everybody, either financially or literally rolling in bed with these people, like literally in bed with people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have seen it. And I'm like, oh, and what a small world, Ted. Before I became friends with you, I've shaken hands with the man that fucked you.
It is so weird. Yeah.
I didn't know it was him.
By the way,
I just never connected it.
He's 65.
That'd be something, right? No.
Mm-hmm.
He's only now 65?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then he's looked old for a long time. Because
Yes.
I'm talking about, like, when I was hanging out with these, living in downtown LA, it was like 2011. So that's 14 years ago, 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought back then he would have been in his 60s.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously when you're evil.
I
mean, I don't want to imply that he's the devil.
Looks rough.
Because I'm just going to outright and say it. He's the devil.
He is the years have not been kind.
Such a bad man. Such a bad
man. I didn't know he was only 65. I thought by now he'd be in his mid 70s.
And he can obviously.
The men I know are now.
He's not a man 70. Who can't afford beauty treatments.
I know, because I'll just say this: the powerful men that I know in LA, they are now 70, but they look it. But they look, they don't. But we're talking almost 15 years ago. I thought Austin Beutner was clearly a retiree age at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm sure he did. Yeah.
I had no idea he was that
He's
young.
Such a fucking weaselly little fucking shit.
So he would have been around 50 when I met him?
And the thing is, he gets so much positive
Ted, is that right? Am I doing math right?
Times. Yes.
He would have been around 50 when I met him?
Well, when did you meet him?
Like 2011.
All right, so that's 14 years ago. So yeah, he was 50.
That's 5 years older than me today. He looked a lot older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's Monstra.
Oh, okay.
Well,
we'll leave that there.
He confirms that Victorian idea that if you have an ugly soul, you have an ugly body.
No. Asians believe that too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. For sure. It erodes you from the inside. So if you're like not pure of heart, it eventually shows up on your face. So there's all kinds of weird Asian isms, like pan-Asian stuff that I thought about writing a coffee table book about this, Ted, like these pan-Asianisms of like wives' tales. No, maybe not wives' tales, but like
by pan-Asianism, you mean things that like all Asians believe, regardless of what kind of Asian they are?
Yeah, there's just like a broad thing like across all Asian cultures, and one of them was if you're ugly on the inside. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but ugly on the inside shows up ugly on the outside. And so that's one of them. Okay, that's interesting to know about Huh. I never realized that he was remotely close in age
so
to
you
me.
probably
Like,
didn't know you were shaking hands with Satan himself.
no, I just thought like this pencil neck Weasley dork. Like, I just like, why is everyone giving this asshole tables? I just thought, like, why are you guys giving this asshole like tables? Like, there's plenty of rich guys in LA. Like, why this nerd? You know? And turns out
he's the devil,
that's why.
and he can have you
Right.
killed.
Turns out that's why. So all right, we'll leave that there. We'll do a quick thing on this whole AI thing, Ted. So this story, there's a girl named Madeline. She was in the middle of her final year at university nursing, where they do the placement and, you know, start helping you apply for jobs or whatever once you graduate nursing school, right? So it was an email from a generic Australian Catholic University address titled Academic Integrity Concern. Mm-hmm. In it, the university accused her of using AI to cheat on her assignment. It took 6 months for ACU, Australian Catholic University. It took 6 months for ACU to clear the 22-year-old of any wrongdoing, but by that point, the damage had been done. While the university investigated, Madeline's academic transcript was marked results withheld. Madeline is convinced that incomplete document was part of the reason she was not offered any positions right out of school. ACU registered nearly 6,000 cases. So they lodged 6,000 cases of alleged academic misconduct across its 9 campuses just last year alone in 2024.
That's a lot of misconduct.
About 90% of those referrals, 9 out of 10 of these 6,000 alleged cases were supposedly tied to the use of AI. While this student produced dozens of pages of evidence, the university's case hinged on a single AI-generated report that highlighted problematic text. Quote, "It's AI detecting AI, and almost my entire essay was lit up in blue. 84% of it supposedly written by AI," according to Madeline. Students said any attempts to engage ACU and complain about its academic misconduct process were either ignored or dismissed. According to the internal,
they probably had AI process those.
That's right. AI is like, nope. AI is the gatekeeper. That's right. AI was the gatekeeper. According to internal ACU documents, the university was aware of issues with the AI detector tool for more than a year, but they finally scrapped it. So, but too late for this cohort, right? Like the 2024
but not before fucking over 6,000 people.
ACU abandoned the Turnitin tool in March after finding it to be ineffective. So yeah, the class of 2024, they got screwed over in Australia. And I alluded to this at the top, Ted, when we finally got ourselves on the live stream. People are like, look at the leaps and bounds, Ted, between in the last year. If we go back even 18 months, that people were like anti-AI 18 months ago, right? And now everybody's like embracing AI, and they are still taking whatever platform it is, whether it's GPT, Grok, or I don't know, I haven't tried
Claude.
yet Perplexity, Claude. I haven't tried Gemini, for example. They are taking AI not only at its word, but as gospel. Even though some AIs know who I am, but reject you, Ted.
ChatGPT
rejects Ted
Grok
Rall
has
as
a
no
lot
existence.
of nice things to say about me, but ChatGPT won't admit that I exist. Right. Try it, folks. So, put my name into ChatGPT. Just type my name, see what happens.
So same for me. Sometimes it depends on the platform. Sometimes I'm a Russian agent. Other times I'm just a plain old journal. You know, other times it's more fair in its description of me. So it depends on the platform. But regardless, Ted, for example, has been publishing books and cartoons for decades. Undoubtedly, all of the various AI platforms have, in some form or fashion, used Ted's work to learn, or my work to learn.
Absolutely.
And other journalists in general, and other writers in general, because that's how it learns. That's how if you tell AI to write like a TV news style script, or a New York Times style article about, I don't know, say pick one, like the PLO, right? It uses the language it uses because it's taught on articles written by people like Ted and I, right? Human journalists. So it learns this amalgamation of thousands and thousands and thousands of journalists and writers and whatever. So it's kind of this mishmash amalgamation of everybody's work. And if you tell it you want a certain tone, if you want a whatever, it recognizes, because it's been classified. Ted writes in this tone, Manila writes in this tone, Barry Weiss writes in this tone, right? It has been taught because people have been working on AI for 25 plus years. Ted, I know guys that used to work at the now defunct, well, largely defunct Sun Microsystems, that have told me that they began working on AI back in the 90s, right? They've been trying to teach it and develop it for that long. Mm-hmm. So undoubtedly, AI has been taught how Ted writes, how Manila writes. So when I tested my own writing
illegally, without asking permission, without paying for it, they could have reached out to, say, my syndicate and said, or they could have reached out to me and say, hey, we're working on this project.
Sarah Silverman. That's why she's suing.
We would like to pay you X amount to let us scan your stuff.
Let us use your book.
Yeah, we're not going to reprint it, but we're just going to practice on it.
Teach with it.
Yeah, and we would have had the option of saying yay or nay, but they didn't do that. They literally stole the intellectual property of, well, let's just say hundreds of thousands, if not millions of creators, probably more than that.
Millions. That's precisely why Sarah Silverman is suing, because they had taken a lot of her stand-up. They had taken her books that she's written. They've taken her material, her intellectual property. It just so happens that she's famous, obviously, that it's getting any traction.
That gives her the platform to publicize the lawsuit, and also to it gives her the deep pockets to pay for the lawyers.
That's right. So her lawsuit against, I forget which platform, might be GPT, but her lawsuit, should she prevail, will be precedent setting. I think it'll probably
become a class action lawsuit at some point.
Yeah. It will be precedent setting. But this is how ridiculous that the world that we live in is now, that given this, right? I wanted to lay the premise for all of this, of how all AI has been taught, right? So when I went in and literally went into my own archives, in a external hard drive, pulled up an old article I wrote probably 15, 17 years ago, and pasted in, and I forget the command exactly that I told GPT, and I said, scan this for AI. And GPT fired back saying I forgot what percentage it said, but the language used, it said it estimates, X amount, 85% or something, was written by artificial intelligence. And I was and I argued with GPT saying, no, you dumb robot motherfucker. That is my original work, of which you were probably trained on. That was published in a magazine before digital became a thing. This is my original work.
Well, but also how fucked up is it that a university that's trying to root out cheating by using AI is using AI. This reminds me of this story. I was thinking of writing it this week, but I think I'm not going to, because I'm gonna end up doing something about Gaza instead. But I was thinking about, you've read this, Manila, about the complaint about the resume wars, right? So basically,
yes,
the employers are complaining that a lot of people are creating cover letters and job applications using AI. Guilty. I've done it.
Sure, me too.
And it's like, basically, I'll literally be like, I'm cartoonist Ted Rall, create a cover letter applying for this job. And then I go in and nip and tuck it and edit it. But I mean, and the employers now are using AI to try to suss out who's doing that. And so the employers are complaining that they're getting all this garbage. Well, the thing is, they have no one to blame but themselves, because for years, they haven't been replying to anybody's job applications. So everyone thinks, I've got to spam the field. I've got to apply to 1,000 jobs to have a chance to hear back from one. So everybody's
HRs use that. I forget the.
Yeah, they use an AI tool to try to see if that's, and they use AI to scan the applications, right?
That's right.
They literally will be
before
like,
AI became AI.
They're
they
literally
used a
like
whole system before.
They literally will put in, they'll tell AI, like, we're looking for someone with this qualification, but not that qualification. And then they feed everything in, and then they let the AI be like, well, you should talk to Manila, but not Ted, or whatever. So it's like everyone's using, it's an arms race, right? I mean, and it's like everybody is just, it's sort of like on dating apps, like people have found, particularly guys, that they should just swipe right on everyone. And so it's like, I like her, and I like her, and I like her, because I'm so open-minded. My tastes are so broad. Because if you don't, that maximizes your chances of hearing back from someone, right?
Sure.
And so everybody's lying. Then there's all the women who are like, oh, I'm 45, when really they're 65 or whatever, but they think they won't hear back from anyone who filters out people over 50. And like, so everybody's just treating each other like shit. This technology is really, it's like social media. Social media is inherently neutral, but it has a tendency to make us treat each other badly as people. Because like the algorithms benefit spicy, mean conversation. The Laura Loomers of the world wouldn't be Laura Loomers if they were civilized and had a reasoned conversation. Well, I can see your point, but here's my point. But let's all agree to disagree. You're not going to get the clicks for that.
Bombast, like that's, so this thing, the irony for these students, and this is just the Catholic university system in Australia. That's 6,000 kids whose lives have been fucked. 22-year-old kids who very more than likely busted their ass in their program to find out in the end that they're not.
And you know that some of those kids are, I don't know what percentage, but good number of those kids are innocent.
Oh, for sure. Even if we say 50%, let's go with 50 just to keep it fair.
3,000 people.
3,000 kids have just had their
lives ruined.
Fucked. Like fucked. They don't technically have a degree, even that, like, and then how do you petition it? Now, a year out. Not that they're coming into a good job market anyways, Ted, but still, that's not the point.
That's a good point, yeah.
But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is the university put an AI gatekeeper there to fuck these kids over after they put in 4 years at university and gave them no means for recourse to appeal. AI was like SCOTUS, and that was it. Like,
yeah, it's like fuck off.
Like judge, jury, executioner, AI, like that was it. And these kids,
it's so cruel.
It sucks. It's so, that is so cruel. So that's just one university system in Australia, Ted. Think of how many universities across the world are using AI to fuck over tens and tens of thousands of students in every country.
It's so
I can't help but laugh. It just really sucks. It just,
it does.
Because it just sucks. Because you remember when you're that young, Ted, a devastating blow after 4 years like this, not getting your certificate, not getting your diploma, not being able to start your life. It feels like the end of the world. Like everything seems so.
Believe me, I know, because I was expelled from college, so I do know. Let's move on to. We're really running late here. An Arkansas dad who allegedly killed a dude he found in a truck with his teen daughter, is now running for sheriff. Aaron Spencer, age 37, announced his plan to run for Lonoke County Sheriff on his campaign's Facebook page on Friday, October 10th. Spencer, who's charged with second-degree murder, is scheduled to stand trial in January. Spencer is accused of fatally shooting Michael Fossler back on October 8th of last year, according to the Northwest Arkansas Democrat Gazette. The shooting occurred after he allegedly found his 14-year-old daughter in a truck with a 67-year-old man, per CNN. Spencer allegedly told the cops that Fossler kidnapped his daughter and lunged towards him when he ordered him out of the truck. He told police he had no choice, according to the outlet. At the time of the shooting, Fossler was facing multiple charges, including internet stalking of a child, sexual assault, sexual indecency with a child, and possession of child pornography. I'm the father who acted to protect his daughter when the system failed, Spencer said in the 1-minute Facebook video. And through my own fight for justice, I've seen firsthand the failures in law enforcement and in our circuit court. I refuse to stand by while others face these same failures. Spencer said his campaign to run for sheriff of the department that arrested him isn't about me. It's about every parent, every neighbor, every family who deserves to feel safe in their homes and safe in their community, he said. It's about restoring trust where neighbors know that law enforcement is on their side and families know that they will not be left alone in a moment of need. Manila, I mean, you have thoughts. I have thoughts. I mean, I gotta say, look, based on the way this article, if the facts in this article are right, if this is a full picture here, I might vote for him. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it does sound like the guy that he killed was a turd, and
a gross pedo.
And it does sound, now it's, I guess the question is, what are the circumstances? Did the guy really fear for his life, or was he just angered enough to kill him? That's the difference here, right? I mean, if he feared for his life, he didn't commit a crime. If the man really lunged, came out of the truck lunging towards him, then he had every right. But if he just sort of like the guy who's like, dude, don't, boom, which I could easily see having happened.
Oh, I could see that too.
I mean, I could see doing that.
I don't know.
I could easily see doing that. So, I mean, it's like you've got your 14-year-old daughter in the truck. Yeah, you're going to be pretty fucking pissed. Caught red fucking handed. You are not going to be happy, especially if you think your daughter's been kidnapped. I mean, I have to say, I don't think there's any world in which a 14-year-old girl of any sort would voluntarily have sex with a 67-year-old man. Right. And that she would want to be in, setting aside the whole issue of age and consent and all that. It's just, I don't. It's like, yes, there are some girls like older guys, but not that. 14 is 8th grade. The 14-year-old girl might run off with a 19-year-old guy. That could happen. A 19-year-old boy. Sure. I had a girlfriend that was in love with an older boy, and at 14. It was very common. He was like 19. Back in the day. He was 19. Yeah. Technically, is that statutory? Yes. They ended up having a baby when she was 14. Technically, is that unlawful? And kind of, I mean, when you say it's statutory rape because he's over 18, yeah, gross. But when you think about, I mean, he's 19. Kind of a Romeo and Juliet type situation. He's 19. She was 14 in 8th grade. But not this. Not this guy. This is not that. This is no. And that guy and the victim's record does not seem to support the prosecution here. Yeah. I mean, I'd be very curious. Like, why did the victim's record? The dead guy? The victim's record. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's like the victim had. No, the dead guy. The dead guy. Was like a known pedo. So that's what I'm saying. So indecency, like he's right. So I'm saying, like the victim's record would tend to indicate to me that maybe he shouldn't have been that the killer shouldn't have been prosecuted. Right. Alleged shooter. Right, alleged
and potential future sheriff.
Well, actually, he's admitted shooter. Okay, so
well, that's true.
He's a shooter.
He admitted.
We don't know if he's an illegal shooter. That's the question.
Right. He is okay. Yeah, that's fair. He admits to shooting Fossler. That's solid. Oh, speaking of which, also, by the way, since we're speaking of like pedos, I want to go all the way to the UK. Ted, are you familiar with like a 2000s era like punk new metal band called Lost Prophets?
Yes, I know who they are. Mm-hmm.
Do you know that the lead singer, Ian Watkins, yeah, and for those who don't know, Ian Watkins, who I used to find I thought was so hot. Definitely the type that I thought was so hot when, in the early, and he's in my age group, right? So he was found dead in just outside of his prison cell the other day, this weekend, while we were off air. And he was in prison serving like 30 years for disgusting pedophilia crimes. Like,
true.
Not that as if it wasn't gross enough to, to commit these sexual acts on like a young teenage girl. That's one thing. We're talking about toddlers with Ian Watkins.
Yeah.
We're talking about kids that can't speak, that aren't old enough to speak yet, that Ian Watkins, the lead singer of the Lost Prophets, who I swear I used to think he was so hot. And truthfully, he grew up. I mean, though he's been serving prison time for like more than a decade, but like he's a handsome guy, right? Like there is nothing. He could have had any woman if he tried, right? Like you're a rock star. You're a Welsh rock star. But you have this disgusting,
well, obviously he's got this predatory instinct, right? I mean, that's the deal.
Disgusting. But anyway, two other prisoners slit his throat this weekend. So I'm not one.
Obviously probably for the notoriety, right? Some prisoners. I mean, first of all, prisoners don't like pedophiles. They call them chomos, child molesters, and also he was a notorious, famous guy on top of it, right? So it's double jeopardy for that guy.
Right.
High-profile inmates are targets anyway.
I don't mourn his death, but
well, I'm not going to mourn his death. I didn't care about him before, but I mean, obviously,
he's an unsympathetic character.
He wasn't sentenced to be killed, so he shouldn't have been killed. The
end. It's a very unsympathetic character, and so is this old, perv that the would-be sheriff not randomly, but caught red-handed with his daughter and shot the dude. Unsympathetic character. But here's my question to you, Ted, is are we returning to the fucking wild, wild west where it's like vigilante justice?
It's never gone away, Manila. I mean, there's always going to be people who take the law into their own hands, especially in the heat of the moment. I'm assuming for the sake of argument that that's what happened here and that he wasn't attacked. I don't know why, honestly, he's being prosecuted, because it's going to be, the only other witness here is probably the girl, right? I mean, she's going to no doubt side with her father. How do they plan to fucking prosecute this? I mean, honestly, there's no one there who's going to say, no, there was no lunge, right? So you have no evidence. I mean, it just seems to me like he's going to claim self-defense. I mean, I'm just talking purely practically, and you think you're going to get a fucking rural Arkansas jury of 12 men and women to fucking say like that guy shouldn't be dead? Like, I don't think so. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm really shocked that they moved forward with this prosecution. Yeah, like what? You don't have anyone better to prosecute? Like, that's crazy.
Well, it's a small town, and the DA, I don't know, is trying to make his bones, or her bones, I don't know, but cut his teeth on it. But the crazy thing, the crazy thing, last word I'll say about this is Mr. Spencer stands a real solid chance of winning.
Yeah, I can see why. Also, this would be a spite vote, right? This guy killed a child molester. So I'll vote for
him. That's a child molester.
He's out.
Robbie would hate us doing that.
Killifying them.
Robbie would crucify us right now.
He's probably going to watch it. He's probably watching us right now. Hey, Robbie. Sorry, Robbie.
Sorry, that's our Yankee impression of Southern.
I don't know if I've ever. It's like I don't know if I've ever heard like any Southerners making fun of the stuffy Northern Yankee accent. But you know what is always funny as shit is when black people make fun of the way white people talk. That shit is always great. So
Dave
great.
Chappelle is so good at that. Dave Chappelle is so good at that. Yeah. But yeah, this is. I agree. I think this case is dead. DOA as dead as pedos.
The dude's he's gonna be sheriff on top of it.
He's gonna be sheriff.
I wonder. The dude's so is he out on bond? This guy, or is he like? I don't know.
And why is it second degree murder? Second degree is like you didn't mean to kill.
Because in most states, and I would assume that Arkansas is one of them. In most places, second degree is that there was no planning. So
that's all.
There was no planning here. Obviously, he didn't like stalk the guy.
Well, it seems like he rolled up, found the
right. It was a spontaneous decision.
Where he rolled up and found the dude with his daughter. And
in New York, first and second degree means something different. So yeah.
Yeah. Same. In California, DC, it means it's not just about premeditation. It means it's intent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Murder 1 and murder 2, and then it's different as well on a federal level than local jurisdiction. So I don't know about Arkansas, but I feel like, Ted, they might got different rules down there.
Just maybe. Well, we should wrap this up before we offend even more people.
Mr. Spencer stood his ground. Case dismissed.
Well, I kind of think that's true. Anyway.
All right. Thanks for staying with us, guys. And Ted, thank you for rescuing. I'll give
you a rumble. Yeah, we'll do a share. We should do a screen share, like maybe later today or whatever. And I'll show you how to do that.
On how to do this, because in case stuff like this happens, we should all, be able to run the show.
Yeah, because with doing deprogram before, it's hard for me to hop in and jump in. I might be able to.
But that's only
Robbie says it's not possible on the same computer. So, to run
Rumble
Studio on run two different Rumble Studios on the same computer. He said that even he tried doing separate browsers and it didn't work.
I don't know.
Browsers work. But he's got a PC. Yeah. It might be different on Mac. I don't know.
That I don't know. We'll have to tinker with it on a weekend like we've done in the past when we try to get this going. But anyway, thank you guys. We'll be back tomorrow's Wednesday.
Take care.
Adios, amigos. Bye. Thank you.